Welcome to Books and Ideas Audio, a presentation of the Vancouver Writers Fest. The Vancouver Writers Fest connects people to exceptional books, ideas, and dialogue through year-round programming that ignites a passion for words and the world around us. We carry out our work on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. To celebrate National Poetry Month this April, we're delighted to share this recording of The Poetry Bash from our annual flagship festival, recorded live on October 21st, 2022. The Poetry Bash is an atmospheric evening of readings featuring poets from across the globe. You'll hear poems from Claudia Castro Luna, Andrew Faulkner, Tayi Tibble, Alexandra Oliver, and Charlie Petch. Our esteemed host, Billeh Nickerson, will introduce each poet, along with a special welcome from Vancouver's Poet Laureate, Fiona Tinway Lam.
Hello. I need a little bit more than that. Hello, everyone. Oh. I can fill you in places that I forgot that I had, so thank you. That sounded a little dirtier than I meant it to be. Anyways, welcome to the 35th Vancouver Writers Festival. My name's Billeh Nickerson. There we go, already. So I'm a poet, and I'm a longtime friend of the festival. I'm also the Associate Dean of Arts at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. So it is a great pleasure to be here. And before we start the event, I'd like to acknowledge that the Vancouver Writers Fest carries out its work and this event today on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Should you be curious about reconciliation, I would suggest that a great place to start is by reading books by Indigenous authors. And you're at a place to definitely get those books. So, yes. We're here for the Poetry Bash. Yes. If anyone is here for the Little Queer Nightmares, this is kind of like that, but kind of different too. The other queer little nightmare that's happening tonight is Elton John is in town. Any of you who been checking your Facebook and people are coming over from Victoria and they didn't know that was happening, they're like, why are there all these Volvos and Teslas on the ferry? It's because people are going to see Elton John. So there we go. The Poetry Bash. No one really knows why we call it the Poetry Bash, but it just is. So there's bashing and poetrying and lots of fun stuff. So it's my great pleasure. I'm just going to let you know who's all going to be taking a part tonight. Claudia Castro Luna, Andrew Faulkner, Alexandra Oliver, Charlie Petch, and Tayi Tibble. Yay! So they're all here. So we're so pleased that these fine poets will be gracing our stage and sharing their wisdom and bon mot with us. Before we start, I have a special surprise, and it's my great pleasure to invite special guest Fiona Tinway Lam to do a special welcome for our poets this evening. Fiona is Vancouver's Poet Laureate, so please welcome Fiona.
Good evening, everybody. It's so fabulous to be here live to celebrate poetry. We've got a fabulous array of poets here. We are gathered here today to gather sustenance from poetry. And I thought I'd start with just a short poem as an opener. Libation. For me, no wine. Just the life's blood of apples mashed whole in a democracy of pulp. Skin, core, seeds, flesh, warty or warped, bruised or scabbed, joined to make juice as round and real as earth. Let's open our tongues to bitter soil, sweet scorch of sun, crisp of autumn leaves, shimmer of river. Forget those tortured espalier trees, slaves chained to their stakes, forced to sing their single notes. Give us the old orchard's choir of venerable trees, gnarled arms held wide and high as tapers knobbed with a decade's dripping wax. Quaff the murky golden madrigals of juice and know, all revealed in a moment's swallow. For what is juice but poetry? What we've lived and known wrung out of roots, trunk, guts, limbs into the radiant fruit of now, seasoned by wind and night. What's held within this cup, this poem, this juice, we offer you. Enjoy tonight.
So our first reader tonight, Claudia Castro Luna, is both former Washington State Poet Laureate and Seattle's inaugural civic poet. You're also civil, so that's good, civic poet. She is the author of multiple collections, including One River and the Pushcart-nominated Killing Marias, and her most recent collection, Cipota Under the Moon, which has been described as a testament to the men, women, and children who bet on life at all costs and now make their home in another language, in another place, which they, by their presence, change every day. I'm so happy that Claudia is able to start us off in such a good way this evening. Please welcome Claudia Castro Luna.
Buenas noches. Thank you so much, Billeh, for that introduction. And thank you to Fiona for that beautiful poem, and congratulations on serving as the laureate for the city of Vancouver. They're lucky to have you. Yeah, thank you. So the poems that I will read tonight are very personal poems. Cipota, Under the Moon. Cipota is a very Salvadoran word that means girl. And I wanted the title of the book to cue into that beingness, that being Salvadoran, immediately, visually, with the title of the book. And the book narrates my family's story and my story of leaving El Salvador, escaping El Salvador in the early 1980s as the Civil War broke out. So the book opens with poems that are very much memoir in a way. This one's titled Via Láctea, or Milky Way. Are you ready for some Spanish? Te dejo aquí, bajo la sombra de este mango. I leave you here, in the shade of this mango tree. Como quien dice, esperando un bus en una esquina o a la orilla de un río, hablo de una vía que arrastra almas buenas y malas y cosas chulas y rotas. Imagine you are at a bus stop or standing on a riverbank, watching creatures and their beating hearts ambling by, counting the way their faces flare up to both sides of the moon. Te dejo con un par de maracas para que acompañes a los muertos en su procesión y para que animes a los vivos en sus duelos. You are not alone. I am with you, here, naked, holding my baby teeth in a plastic bag, my back against the tree's rough bark, so that I may, alongside you, learn from it how to grow a spine. Ten cuidado con gatos maleantes, no te metas con doncellas traidoras listas para ofrecerte algún bocado. Fíjate que estoy aquí contigo y desnuda. Bésame, bésame mucho, como te beso yo a ti. Kiss me deeply, like the earth embraces a tree's roots, like new lovers do when night falls. Thank you. This next poem is titled Hija de los Días, or Daughter of the Days. And let me see. When we left El Salvador, we left in January of 1981. The Civil War was declared formally declared 2 weeks after we escaped, and my family came to Florida in the US. But the war had been out and happening for over a year. A terrible, terrible time. I always say El Salvador is, at one point in the 1980s, what Afghanistan has been, what Iraq has been, what Ukraine is now, inescapable. It was in the news every day. So again, the poem is Hija de los Días. My 14th birthday happened in a November loss to a brackish year. Newspaper headlines from the first 16 days of that month listed the following. On the second day, 10 bodies of unidentified young men were found ditched on the road to Apulo. 2 days later, a man was gunned down and killed in his car in northern San Salvador. The following day, another man succumbed when his furniture store was attacked. On the 7th, in the city of Santa Ana, a 13-year-old boy and 4 adults were attacked and killed. On the 15th, a union leader died of gunshot wounds. The next day, a colonel, his wife, and his children, 11 and 15, were carbonized when incendiary bombs exploded in their house. Peck days and plucked of hope. My parents did not sing my birthday. They must have felt war's vertigo, the gathering of ashes inside people and things. These days, I pull weeds in my garden, and just as soon, new ones leaf back up. Is that resilience? Happy birthday, Papa. Happy birthday, Mama. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. There's a lot of Spanish in this book, or there's some Spanish that shows up, and some of the poems I have left untranslated, including this one, which I titled La Rosa, and is about blessings from La Virgen de Guadalupe, from the Virgin of Guadalupe, and how borders don't exist. It's a very short poem. It's a tanka. La Rosa. Las fronteras no existen. Pregúntale a la Virgen de Guadalupe, quien derrama bendiciones sin pedir pasaporte. Borders don't exist. Just ask the Virgin, who grants and spills blessings without asking for a passport, is a translation of what I just read. So another tanka in this small section of Loteria poems. Loteria, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a street game that we play in Mexico and Central America. And when it's the saints' days, in my hometown of Atiquizaya, people actually set up galleries to play. It's like a bingo game. And every card, it has these very striking images, has a little saying, a riddle, and people know these riddles by heart. And so I've changed them up a bit and changed the images as well. So this one's called La Corona, the crown. Cedros y ceibas, tamarindos y aguacates are trees, heart of sky tussling their green crowns. Dear relatives, we also left behind. And thank you. I don't go back to El Salvador often because the trauma of the war has seeped very deeply into my person, my body. And it takes a lot for me to go, but I have been. And every time I go, my family, my father's family, all live on the same town for generations, and not only the same town, but the same street. So when I was a little girl, it was a cobblestone street, and it's 12 kilometers away from the Guatemalan border in western El Salvador, and there's a volcano on the Guatemalan side. So in this town of Atiquizaya, we have this marvelous volcano that looks over at our everyday life. And every time I go to the cemetery because I visit my relatives who are resting there. And on this occasion, I said to my father, let's go. This is what we do. We go, we clean graves, we bring flowers. And my father said, I don't think it's such a good idea because there's gangs who are hanging out at the entrance of the cemetery. And I'm sure you know that El Salvador has a huge gang problem that started really in the US, but that's a long story. And so these gangs they're everywhere, and sometimes they extort people. They extort teachers on their way to school. Sometimes they ask teachers to pay in order to come into their schools, for business people to pay in order to operate their business, and in this case, to pay to enter the cemetery, the way of peace. They say gang members guard the entrance to the cemetery with heat in their hands to extract from visitors a fee to mourn, a sort of morbid pay-per-view. Gangs may hover the graveyard, but the dead, the birds, and trees were there first. Let them come through the bleached gate and keep coming, the birds. Let their trilling, their feather warbling spill onto the dead. Let Luis, my cousin killed at the beginning of the war, 6 days after he turned 23, let him rejoice in the chirruping, in the cooling tree shadows swaying above his humble grave. Let Gladys, who is buried without a marker because the war washed from her everything, her life, even her name, and is listed instead as addendum to her mother's cross. Let it be the birds who call out her full name. Let those who went venerably into eternal slumber, like my abuela, my great uncles, my great grandmother, my great grandfather, who all died as people should, from the rasping of time against lung, let them enjoy this avian gift. Let all the Castros and the Leivas, the Sanchezes and the Quijadas, the dead tucked inside mausoleums, and those whose stiff bones rest quietly under dirt mounds, let them all reap birdsong. Let them rest in peace, the way things were before dollars and coyotes, gangs, migra, guerra, before ice, caravans, and walls, the time before these words orbited the constellation of our Salvadoran speech. Thank you. Thank you. Another very short poem called On Translation. Does anybody know what the word for a life is in Spanish? Vida. Yeah. On translation. Vida, 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 vida. Vida, vida, vida. Vida, 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 vida. Not walls. And the last poem is titled Totem. And again, some translation here, some play of two languages. Totem. Nube is the Spanish word for cloud. Earth dreams, spun, hoary mountain yawned, faring up, up, up. Diente means tooth. Sometimes there is certainty. Take a hammer, hammer. Take a chair, sit. Take a basket, gather. Take a ballot, vote. Árbol signifies tree. Their roots plunge into mineral darkness, forging past raw jewels and earthworm castles, past scents to be unlocked when rain falls. Deseo means desire. Oh, but how I want you in any language. You. Often, a single word is all that's needed. In this case, yes will do. Muerte is equivalent to death. The way a garden is a tightrope suspended between coaxing some and killing other living things whose currency is sap and chlorophyll. Guerra is the Spanish word for war. A carved up world is no more to win. Here we are. Muchas gracias.
Once again, that was Claudia Castro Luna reading from Cipota, Under the Moon, which is available amazingly at the book area in the back, so you can get that on the break. It was someone's birthday. So we're going to, Andrew, you don't know that we're doing this, but I've always promised everybody that I refuse to make everyone sing happy birthday, because that's one of the most awkward things ever. So what we're going to do, our next readers, it's his birthday today. So what we're going to do is we're going to scream on the count of 3, happy birthday, Andrew. But I need you to feel it, okay? Okay? This person's come all the way from Ontario, okay? That's all I'm saying. Okay, so on 3, happy birthday, Andrew. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Andrew. Yay. So much better than the song. And then you don't have to worry about copyright. That's all these other things too. Okay, so Andrew Faulkner's zodiac sign is a Susan Sontag in a bear costume. That's what you find out when you Google, folks. He's the author of 2 books of poetry, Need Machine, and his recent collection, Heady Bloom. He is also the author of several chapbooks, one of which was shortlisted for the prestigious B.P. Nicol Chapbook Award. He has an MFA from the University of Guelph and lives in Picton, Ontario, where he works as the managing editor of Invisible Publishing. Please put your hands together for birthday boy, Andrew Faulkner.
Thank you so much for coming to my birthday party. You can just leave the gifts on the table at the back. That's great. So I'm going to be reading from Heady Bloom, which came out in April, and it is part of a long and rich poetic tradition of feeling like shit and then telling you about it for 80 plus pages. In my case, I had a single headache for a year and a half straight, which is exactly what it sounds like. And so the book is a lot about pain and uncertainty and making meaning in the face of wanting your body to evaporate a little bit. And maybe the best way to summarize what's in it is I was getting ready for this and I asked my wife, so should I read the 10-page poem about famous religious headaches or the half dozen poems about an anthropomorphic jar of Advil? And she suggested maybe you could just read them some normal poems. So I will read you some normal poems. But in a book about headaches, you cannot escape headaches. So we will start with The Case for Advil Presents Itself. First headache shows up like whoa, whistles through switchgrass, sedge, wheat like prairie June grass, a spread of bottle brush, and my mind's declensions of thin pine. What flesh extends from? My head hurts. Is it swollen? I think it maybe is. And what's this rough seam, these roses and filament, over which I can run my thoughts' thumb? This is all just interior talk, mind you. Rumor of layoffs, downsizing, exploring the future at length. That from which flesh extends. My head considers its freestone pit. A condition's no good unless it persists. So this poem comes with a warning. It's a cautionary tale on what happens when you let small children listen to A Tribe Called Quest. It is called Geriatric Millennial Vibes on Nostalgia. Listen, I got the flavor for the fever. Listen, I'd like to be someone who believes the past resides in a reachable place. So I track an idea by its direction, to be funky as a bomb over Baghdad or a missile over Kosovo, wisp of cloud in the shape of a dollar sign, a shadow over a pornography of snow. Recall that Informer was played everywhere in a semi-charmed decade hinged on the relationship between money, which is a problem, and problems which bob in the eddies of compound interest. The good times, those were the good times. So listen, can I kick it? My toddler wants to know, repeats it endlessly. Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Both question and answer, signal of a signal, to be given a sign and then hit by it again, baby, one more time. So speaking of geriatric millennials, this poem is called Paranoid Android. For a while, I was very sleep deprived, the toddler again, and listening to OK Computer on repeat and rereading and rereading Transformers poems about the Baltic. And I think I accidentally invented a new form of anxiety. Paranoid Android. Wakes up in winter. What time is it? Set in ice, looking up at the bottom of the world. The clock tracks eternity. Tom, who is the tinkle of glass on pavement, hears water whisper. He's sure of it. But when it's quiet like this, like the open mouth of a vase, he feels the air work him over. In whose heart a fact hides even from itself. Open a door and there's the night slinking around like a baseline's gravel-throated slander. Tom is a gated vista, a financial district, the last blockbuster, an imperative on all frequencies. Renounce what you know. Renounce what you know, a cipher, a hinge, brushed steel. Tom's attention is a white boat. It's taking on water. What would it mean to think straight? Tom wants to know. First rain, then snow. Every day feels parachuted in. Dear Tom, who insists like a piston. A thought slips from formation, decamps to a new country whose anthem is silence. The signs Tom's born under. Events happen. Freedom is a problem you wouldn't believe. An engine turns to no accord and turns and keeps turning, little yarn ball of noise. It builds a hall of sound. The stars crack their knuckles and say, pay your rent and you'll be fine. Say, touch my sister and I'll kill you. After snow, rain again. Then something indeterminate, imprecise. Here in the crackle of glass stitching back together. The world belongs to those who help themselves. Tom wants to help. When Tom presses his ear to a wall, he can hear Tom on the other side listening in. A great electric wall of cocaine and good times, nothing wrong here. Like kissing an angel. As Xerox, a dizzy spell, a pearl. In a forest of nostalgia, the 90s claw and wail. Tom wants to get better, but doesn't know how. So I'm going to ask you all to indulge me for a minute. I'm going to give myself a birthday present here. I've always thought one of the greatest low-key power moves a writer will do, like at a festival like this, they'll come up, they'll talk about their books, and they'll casually offhand say something like, so there's this thing I do in all my books, and it's in all my books. So I've been stuck on one book for 9 years. And when you have one book, everything you do is the thing you do in all your books, and it doesn't quite hit the same. But now I have 2 books now. And so for the first time live in front of people, I can now say, so there's this thing I do in all my books. That hits, yeah. So the thing is, I write a self-portrait poem. And this is called Self-Portrait from Another Room. 2 arms, 2 legs, and arranged like most appliances along a central axis. A thicket of teeth and blood for the taking. A real angel. A real retractable cord type. If a clay vessel's useful because it's hollow, what's it to him that he's full to the brim? He thinks his thoughts as one scoops ice cream. Poor, sweet, porthole soul. Poor jar of piss longing to be vinegar. 2 eyes in his face and face square in his head, always next door to where he is. So this next poem is called On Babies. The first line is from a Kelly Link short story. So On Babies. A baby born at 24 weeks may weigh just over a pound. At 25 weeks, tubes and sanitation protocols, a crook of gears. A specialist places their trained hand on a shoulder to indicate such are the odds. At 26 weeks, a baby continues to extend in known directions, as likely to live as any slash of hope. At 27 weeks, a baby is a tiger burned all through, tangle of jungle mind, a surfeit of conditions under close observation, attributes plotted on a spectrum. At 28 weeks, look, 28 weeks isn't bad. Face almost recognizable, could be yours. 29 weeks, yes. 30 weeks, yes. A week goes by, the baby's not here. It's enough to make you cry in reverse. Still, the thresholds of necessary and sufficient are unclear. As plagues begin with rats and fleas, and sermons emerge from a head of metaphysics, so is a baby born, a window blind undrawn, a postcard from another continent. Wish you were here, and good fucking luck. So I'm going to read one more poem, but first I should say, well, 2 things. First, I don't think any of you can see this, but one of the lights is, the ventilation is really good in here because one of the lights just keeps kind of swinging a little bit. And it's the most incredibly fixating thing. And I have a new rider now, which is I need a large swinging object in the background whenever I read. And the second is, a while ago, I worked for a literary festival for exactly long enough to know that running a literary festival is basically impossible. I don't think it can really be done well, but if it can, it depends on the really superhuman efforts of a whole bunch of people. And so the fact that Vancouver Writers Festival is doing so well at this is such a testament to their hard work. I'm so appreciative of it. And I'm so grateful that they've placed me on a billing like this to be among such great writers. I'm going to be floating on this for a long time. So you thought we were done with headaches. I think I've learned you are never done with headaches. So end on Advil arrives. Above the asphalt morning, a murmur of clouds. Rail tracks run like two clear thoughts. The commuter train arrives with a thunk-a-thunk that paves me over. Like the heart's fleshy balm, be better, it goes where it goes. In my skull, nothing's where I left it. Our marble rolls around, an outcome when the outcome is unknown. I, too, want to be parallel. The sun lays its long hand on my face, and the breeze finger puppets a stand of trees. Light seesaws which way? I take 2 Advil and round the symptoms up, count each blistered head as it passes through the gate. Thanks so much.
That was Andrew Faulkner reading from Heady Bloom. Don't buy his book for him because that would be weird, but buy his book because it's his birthday too. There are a lot of Kiwis here, and that's always a very good thing. So I feel remiss. I want to acknowledge that Karen Doss, who is the artistic director of Word Christ Church, did I get that right? Yes, okay, is here, and we're happy to have you here, so thank you so much. Yes, she's waiting. And our next reader is also a Kiwi. So I want to thank Creative New Zealand for their support in bringing Tayi Tibble to see us today. So Tayi Tibble is the author of 2 collections of poetry, her debut collection, Poūkahangatus, and her most recent, Rangni Kora. I think I was closer than I was before, but I tried my best, so my apologies. This past July, Poūkahangatus was published in the United States by Knopf and in the United Kingdom by Penguin Books. So basically, you're taking over the world, and we love it. Recently, and I love to be able to say this, the New York Times commented, "This chatty, winsome debut by a young New Zealand poet mines family history, Maori myth, and the residue of pop culture to fashion a striking sensibility in which superstition wards off ghosts and a David Bowie sticker on a laptop resembles a tiny, genderless angel lit up by green charger light." Please welcome Tayi Tibble.
Kia ora i te whānau, kia ora tātou, ko te whānau āpanui mi Ngāti Porou te iwi, ko te whanganui atara me te tai rāwhiti o te roa ahau, ko Tayi Tibble toko ingoa. My name is Tayi Tibble. And yeah, I'm a poet from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I'm going to read a couple of poems from you, not from you guys, for you, from me, from my collections, Poūkahangatus and Rangi Kura. First poem I'm going to read for you is from Poūkahangatus, and it's called In the 1960s, An Influx of Māori Women. And this poem, it's at the start of the collection. This book's really about 4 generations of Māori, of native women living in the city away from their ancestral lands and what that kind of means and how they kind of navigate this new identity of being urban Māori. And this poem kind of is at the start of the book, and it's kind of the start of that when a bunch of women of my great-grandmother's generation moved from their ancestral lands to the city centres to take up work, to take up mahi following World War II, and also just the poverty that was rampant in our ancestral lands after land acquisition, the stealing and taking of our lands. This poem is called, In the 1960s, An Influx of Māori Women. In the 1960s, an influx of Māori women moved to Tinakori Road in their printed mini dresses, grow flowers on white stone rooftops to put in their honeycomb vases, dust the pussy-shaped ashtray their husbands bought on vacation in Sydney, walk to kakolni and stains while their husbands are at work. Spend their monthly allowance on a mint green margarita mixer. Buy makeup at Elizabeth Arden in the shade too pale pink. Buy vodka and dirty magazines on the way home from the chemist. Hide the vodka and dirty magazines in the spare refrigerator in the basement. Telephone their favourite sister in Gisborne. Go out to dinner with their husbands and dance with his friends. Smile at the wives who refuse to kiss their ghost pink cheeks. Order desserts like pecan pie, but never eat it. Eat 2 pieces of white bread in the kitchen with the light off. Slip into an apricot nylon freshly ordered off a catalogue. Keep quiet with their husbands' blue-veined arms corseting their waists. Remember the appointment they made to get their hair fixed on Lambton Quay. Think about drowning themselves in the bathtub instead. Resurface with clean skin, then rinse and repeat. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So I live in Wellington, which is the capital city of New Zealand, but my family come from Te Tairāwhiti region, which is the eastmost tribes of New Zealand. We're right on the Pacific Ocean. It's very beautiful, right on the ocean. And ocean, in part, is a big source of inspiration to me and my mahi and my poetry, just like it is like our life source, feeding our people, etc. So I'm going to read a poem. It's called Panya, and it shares its name with I guess some people would call her a mythological figure, but really she's an ancestor of one of our neighbouring tribes, Ngāti Kahungunu, the Hastings region. And Panya was a sea maiden, maybe some would say like a mermaid, and she fell in love with a mortal man, a Māori man, and she could lay with him every night as long as she was allowed to return to the ocean every morning. But of course, this wasn't enough. And he tried to trick her into staying with him all the time. And upon discovering, this betrayal, she ran back to the ocean and died. But in her death became sea foam. That's how we say sea foam or sea spray was created. And this poem is called Panya. It's got 3 parts. Panya. 1. When she worked in Auckland, her name was Cheetah. But when she worked in Sydney, she called herself Panya. When the men who paid to ask her, "What do you want to do with your life?" she told them that she was desperate to return to the ocean. And that's why, once summer was over and she had saved enough money, she was going to go back to school to study marine biology. It's not an original story. But then one day, a man quieter than the usual kind told her that when he was 9, he had had a goldfish who died. And his mother told him to flush it down the toilet, only he couldn't because he loved it. And with every soft, half-hearted flush, the fish would be resurrected, swimming for a few seconds in the bottom of the bowl. She told him that once she had won a goldfish in a river dancing contest, and she had to carry it home in the rain in a little plastic bubble. But the sky had parted like split skin, and she slipped and smashed into the hard edge where the curb met the gutter. Her heart popped as she watched her little prize fish roll and slip away like a girl with a free drink down a stormwater drain. "Unbelievable," he exclaimed. "Exactly," she agreed. 2. He ran his tongue over her bruised knees, and she was immediately overwhelmed by the intimacy between skin and bone, by the feeling of his wet front teeth, by the wetness of her own purple and yellow trauma swelling right there beneath the surface. And it was always there, an invisible pollution, but finally it had risen and, dear God, somebody wanted to kiss it. Sometimes her body was a swimming pool full of dead bees and foliage, and sometimes she liked that better. It kept the delicate boys away. When she was little and lived by the sea, she swam a lot and was fearless with her body. She let herself be thrashed and turned about by wave after wave, this way and that way. Her grandmother always said, "Never turn your back on the water, because you never know what might be coming in." She used to think about sharks and stingrays and then tidal waves, and then she thought about an horizon full of big white sails. Still, she always felt safe in the water, and she welcomed the invasion. 3. After she let him roll on top of her, he wanted to go to the clinic to get checked, and she waited in the car embarrassed. But when he came back, he told her he wanted to tell people about her, and she said, "You can't." He asked why, and she sighed and said, and tried to explain that she was a creature of the ocean, and if she didn't return when it called to her, she would die. He got mad after that and pushed his thumb into the yellow tender bruise until she let out a small cry. But later that night, he came to her and apologized with 2 tickets to Vanuatu because he went there once with some friends he made in his scuba diving class, and it changed his life. She asked if she could exchange them for a flight to Napier, where her grandmother was busy dying, only she wasn't. He Facebooked one of her cousins and sent pictures to her family, ones she didn't know that he had taken. It was not often that she felt naked, but when she did, it caused her entire body to dry out and into a dusty shudder. She tried to call her mother, but there was no answer. So she went to work and tried to put her hurt aside for the night. He arrived and grabbed her face in the dark blood velvet corner and accused her of lying. "Yes," she hissed through bubbling lips. "I never won her stupid goldfish." I'll just read one more from my second collection, Rangi Kura. And just like kind of talking about oceans, speaking of oceans and, the Pacific Ocean, which both our lands border, I just think it's really, I just want to acknowledge that. I think it's really incredible, to be here and, pre-contact for thousands and thousands of years, our people, our native peoples use the Pacific Ocean, Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, like a highway, to travel and to meet each other and exchange knowledge. And, lots of our tribes have stories about traveling here and meeting the Salish people on Vancouver Island, and I'm sure it's vice versa. So it's just really amazing to me to kind of pick up on that ancestral voyaging that we've been doing for many years, and that, something like a book can also be a waka or a canoe. So this poem is called My Ancestors Ride With Me. My ancestors ride with me. They twerk on the roof of the Uber as I pull up late to the party. They gas me full tank and yes me in the mirror as I summon them out of me with my mascara wands and glitter. And every time I draw my eyes on, Nana, you encourage me to keep my chin lifted upwards, my eyes filling up with stars. Because I know I walk on salt, blood, water, tears. I know that the earth has been beaten down and made gangster, but sometimes, e hoa ma, I just want to party. My ancestors ride with me. Don't tell me what they would do. I know them better than you. Because I sat in the lap of my great-grandmother until the flex of her couldn't take it. So instead, she unraveled herself and wrapped around me like a blanket. And at her touch, the privilege of me was a head rush as I remembered, making dresses out of sugar packets, my bro getting blown up in Fawley, my grandfather commemorated under one tree even though he forced himself into our bloodlines and then abandoned me and me and me. My mother saying, "Go, marry a white man, you deserve better," so I left those bone leftovers of home, knowing that in 2 generations I'd be called an Oreo and my teeth painted into red brick. 2 mouthfuls of red root and boiling water for dinner for almost every dinner. So when I'm out with my mans eating an expensive hunk of whatever, My ancestors and I, we share the same taste, and you can see it. And our smile so forceful it splits the space-time continuum. Weird flex, I know. They taught me that the entire universe is malleable and mine to mold. Let me mold it in their image. My ancestors ride with me. Don't you dare tell me what they would do. I know them better than you. I've known them since they were that 5-year-old who was told on her first day of school that she couldn't play because she wasn't the right color. But the other kids didn't know that she was actually a witch, a direct descendant of Tohunga, and had transformative powers. And in that instance, their hex became a spell, and it changed her into an immortal thing, a jaw, a whale, a knot made from her grandmother's hair. And in that moment, she realized that life was not going to be fair, but it could be ferocious and forming if she surrendered herself to the brown, crying clay. She knew that one day she would make something, poro, god, vessel, body of water, impossible enough to carry them all. My ancestors ride with me. Don't tell me what the fuck they would do. I know them way better than you. And I know the wild variety of things they had to do to get me here, some voluntary, some forced, not all of them tika or textbook, postcard or pretty, but God. Aren't you infatuated with the nerve they had to imagine me and make it happen? You can't tell me that my existence isn't anything but the existence of our old magic, of our old ways, our bloodlines, our trust in that river. When we first hopped in that souped up waka and looked up at the stars like you got me and they said hard. So now, I'm harder than a scrum of mountains. I'm current like I'm water. I whip like the Wellington wind. And I'm hotter than the sun. And my ancestors ride with me like dogs. When I whistle, they run and run and run. Nā mihi nui.
Once again, that's beautiful poems. Tayi Tibble, Poūkahangatus, the books are available in the back. Okay. Our next reader, Alexandra Oliver, is the author of 3 poetry collections, Meeting the Tormentors in Safeway, which was the recipient of the Pat Lowther Memorial Award for Best Book of Poetry by a Canadian Woman, Let the Empire Down, and her most recent collection, Hail the Invisible Watchman. She holds a PhD in English and Cultural Studies from McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario. She was described by poet Molly Peacock as Canada's sublime formal poet who grabs centuries-old traditions by the throat and gives them a huge contemporary shaking. Please put your hands together for Alexandra Oliver.
Good evening. Billeh, thank you for that. Thank you to all our wonderful readers and to the Vancouver Writers Festival for having me. What a thrill. I'm going to begin with, I live in a town in southern Ontario, and in Hail the Invisible Watchman, this town, which will remain nameless, is reinvented as the town of Sherbet Lake, which is a well-meaning conservative town built on the bones of the original inhabitants of the land. But the forces that be will not let these people get away with anything, including this person here, young politician at a Rotary Club tea. There's that woman running for the council eating cake. Her selfie arm is spangled, tan and toned and perfect as a pencil. Imagine how the sallow mayor tingled guiltily the moment that he met her. She has a plan to make the city better. She's born and bred in Sherbet Lake. She knows how older noses love an English rose. She understands the darkness to the letter. Her website is explosively sincere, with photos from the cookouts and parades. Her python grip around the engineer who made it through the marathon, the spades in suffocating soil, the wizard's ball, a benefit for the hospital's new hall, where, stiff in silk, gripping a flute of kava, she grins. The posted comments flow like lava. She lies awake at night. She reads them all. The matrons of the town were apprehensive. The masters thought her age might make her bold, but luckily her views were unexpansive, and happily she fit the tribal mold. Dimpled triplets, dogs, a decent guy. She's never once been compromised or high, but peppers her talk with heritage and tradition, flutters the nation's flag at the right occasion, and swears that Sherbet Lake is where she'll die. When I was 31, I never thought I'd want to wade into a chittering crowd and butter up the biddies, remain untaught by what was free and dangerous and loud, but here you are, nodding over your cake and longing for the spear of Sherbet Lake. That etch-a-sketch of wealth and shame and sorrow. Perhaps you'll take it in your hands tomorrow, admire their work, or shake and shake and shake. I have a son, and he was a child tennis player. Now he's a teen tennis player. And this poem is about child tennis players, and it's called 17. 17 circle the rim of the gym in orbit around an instructor who yells and yells and yells. They listen to him. The fathers in hopefulness peer from the halls. 17 scissor their legs on the mats, slashing the air like quick little knives. They are told to develop their glutes and their lats. The fathers remember their whey-colored wives. 17 shoulder their bags to the courts. Their elders assure them it's not about winning, but wince as the possible pecks at their hearts. The fathers are fat and their forelocks are thinning. 17 play to the darkening hours, then peel off in columns, exhausted and little. They go to the washrooms and tremble in mirrors. The fathers bare teeth, lemon-tinted and brittle. 17 eight-year-old creatures are moving. They climb into vans as if speaking to God. They venture, I think that I'm really improving. The fathers hit gas and set fire to the road. I don't know about you, but I live in an apartment building and I have an intercom in my apartment building. And the supers used to occasionally like buzz in with announcements, and then they discovered their power and just started doing it more and more and more and more. And it was like having constant narration in your home. It's very interesting. And this poem is about that phenomenon, and it's called The Announcer. Oh, and by the way, Bay Street is the financial center of Toronto. Our supers once had the brass to boss a helper into tears. the aptitude for fiction, the knack of rattling a boardroom saber or waving a bad souffle back to the kitchen. But Francis sank their money in a Ponzi. They lost the Jag, the home with 20 rooms, and went from being Bay Street's Sid and Nancy to cursing softly from behind their brooms. Charred and muted by the ream of changes, of poking in our washers with a wrench, of reinstalling cupboards on their hinges and scrubbing darker matter off the bench, Lou fell silent. That was until the firm installed the PA speakers in each suite, democratizing each false fire alarm that poured befuddled tenants into the street. She liked to give the drills placating coda in which she chirped the worst of it was over and felt the old omniscient persona take hold, the heft of bringing doom or closure, and soon moved on to squeezing in the latest, parking fees, the closure of the gym. Then what was on her mind? The hidden greatness of her chiropractor, the quiet scam of marriage and the treachery of churches, the asps of hope that slither through our lives. She intercommed her wild, despairing purchase on truth, but here no one like that survives. They let Lou go for being loud and odd, but she moved on, knowing the creed by heart. It is the voice cast large that copies God. It is the voice cast large that forges art. Thank you. This is going to sound so snobby, but I have a brother who's a Vancouver actor. God love him. But there's something about, like, you're sitting at home and, you know, you've tied a few on and you're watching Netflix. And I don't know how about my husband and I were like, well, if that's made in Vancouver, you know, like the New York taxi goes driving by and there's a big old mountain in the background or whatever. Harbor Center filling in as the Empire State Building, whatever. So this one is called Hollywood North. And if you're an actor, this is not about you, really. Okay. Runaway. Hollywood North. Enter the actors. They're rich in credential. Their agency pages exhibit their charm. They've triumphed in golf on an after-school special and shielded the crew of a shuttle from harm. They've featured as coppers and strippers and spies, a walk-on appearance as doctor or lawyer, a dangerous alien in the disguise of a different alien driving a tractor through sad fields of lettuce on somebody's farm. Enter the actors, the locals, the specials, the coastal celebrities, gusseted, glossed. They've worked in the wilderness, hiding their bushels under their lights, or wait, am I lost? The other way round. They've slaved for their dinners. They've seated the lofty at sushi emporia, wheeled on their sunniest teeth-flashing manners while peddling fake leather pants at Aritzia, striving for starlight, whatever the cost. Enter the actors. They come to the party in plummeting garments and collars of feathers and wonder if 30 still means that they're pretty and should they keep trying when nobody bothers. They've never known seagulls or longing for Moscow or poked at a manuscript eaten by flames or scrubbed off the blood from their fingers in sorrow, but look into our faces, repeating their names, their own, not the others, the others. I'm a lipstick fan, and I always get one for whatever reason, like in an airport, get a lipstick, sad, get a lipstick, happy, get a lipstick, bored, get a lipstick. And this is called the lipstick effect. You know you need a new one when you're bored, or overcome, or underwhelmed, or sad. When you can feel the jangles of your age, when vapors fill the valleys of your mind, the news, your kids, the heft of your behind, or change arrives, the turning of a page, you lose a job, move house, cremate your dad, then add another color to the hoard amassed in your boudoir. Their names alone inspire revolution at some level, assuring you there's fire down below, a pirate lustering lust, a latent vamp, a dolce vita waiting where you camp, and on the prairie, cherries in the snow. Beneath the paint, you're neither sleek nor evil. It's just the tubes, the hollow names you own. I had a very short recreational career as a rollerblader. They went on Kijiji last month, that's all I can say. And they went immediately. But this is about that short career, and it's called How to Stop, which I don't recommend as a manual, by the way. The hefty boots are padded, stitched in pink, as if to comfort you. You're still a lady in them, though you're armored like a tank at elbow, knee, and wrist, your helmet ready, shuffling through the parking lot at nightfall, while upstairs locals sit, caressing glasses, far away from asphalt and its peril in unwheeled pumps and unprotected dresses. While they chat, bend forward to the bowl of Terra chips, pour rum into their pop. Can they hear the skid, the crash, the howl, the woman in the lot who cannot stop? Later, can they see you all fatigue, trawling YouTube for the latest tips on slowing down? Kick out, drag your leg, squat, pigeon toes, keep shoulders over hips. Answer, no. You wriggle into bed at 51, dream you're on the path, a bolt of lightning, knowing what you should. The only thing that slows you down is death. The last two poems come from a part in the book called The Blood of the Jaegers, which is about an upper middle class family in free fall that fall prey to cycles of abuse and addiction. But at the end, there's some glimmer of redemption. And the first of these two poems is called Lobby, and it's narrated by the young girl in the family, Ottilie, 1977, and here she's about 3 years old. We're making our way through the Four Seasons lobby. Ma sails through with the cheek of a bruiser, and we pass a chrome stroller with a nervous baby plugged with a rubber mother care soother. She's had a couple of massive Camparis. She's sick to the marrow with Pa and his droning, the need to upholster the room with her sorries for shopping and snapping and sass and complaining. We're passing the gleam of the oncoming stroller when she, with a gesture both rash and savant, plucks out the soother and throws it behind her. The driver is horrified, wordless and gaunt, telling the taut, scream as loud as you want. And the last poem is called The Marine Room. Does anyone remember the Marine Room in Eaton's? Okay. And I'd like to dedicate this poem to my mother. And I'd like to thank you all for having me and for being so nice, and to the VWF and to the wonderful ASL people. How fantastic. It's like ballet. The Marine Room. Ma takes me out to buy a winter duffel, and as per tradition, this includes a lunch at Eaton's Swish Cafe. The velvet walls undulate with reeds of green and gold. Fat amber globes illuminate the booths, crammed with grannies, girls in high stacked shoes, and men who, lest they might be pegged as old, festoon themselves in flares and sex lure smells. Whenever we go to eat, I get the hunch that on this day, perhaps I'm not so awful. I stir the bowl of mushroom soup. She smiles a little tightly, pulls the slim Sobranis from her bag and plucks one out to smoke. I crinkle out the crackers from their wrap, smile back, drinking in the scent of her good mood, the claret suit, the mediocre food. I've spent hours wishing it wouldn't stop, hoping I'd be good, the one she'd like, brighter than the starlets and the grannies, the chubby starfish plucked out of the shoals. We are all free, and thus she must be too, I think. Look at her smooth red lips, the way she clacks her cards on marble counters, flirts with a manager. Bright and cheery clear, she swings the muskrat coat up on her shoulder. I know I'll be that free when I am older, as splendid as a Murano chandelier and engineered for fortunate encounters. One day I too will smoke and shop, sink ships, stand out from mountain vistas others blend into. Thank you. Good night.
One more round of applause for Alexandra Oliver, reading from Hail, The Invisible Watchman. One of my favorite moments of that was when you read the lipstick poem and all the femmes got excited, but then there was a delay and all the butches got really, really excited. So everyone was happy. It was all good. Wonderful. Just let that sink in. It's all good. It's a slow burn. We've reached the point where we have one final reader for the evening, and I'm excited and a little sad at the same time. So our final reader is Charlie Petch. Charlie Petch is a disabled queer trans-masculine musician and writer based in Toronto. Maybe you've heard of Toronto. Petch was the 2017 Poet of Honor at the for Spoken Word Canada, and the winner of the Golden Beret Lifetime Achievement in Spoken Word from the League of Canadian Poets. Although, Charlie, you're far too young for a Lifetime Achievement because you're fabulous. Petch's collection, Why I Was Late, won the 2022 ReLit Award for Poetry. Please welcome Charlie Petch.
Thank you, and thank you to the readers who came before and everybody here. It's and our ASL. It's a really spectacular evening, and I'm really happy and proud to be here at Vancouver Writers Festival. And my name is Charlie Petch. My pronouns are they, them, he, him, and I'm so good at drag that I got the doctor to put female on my birth certificate. Thank you. So I wanted to start off. So my my book is not only poetry, but it's also like setting people up to, I'm a musician as well, so it's like setting people up to like receive the poems with the intended sounds that would go along with it. So I wanted to demonstrate one of these things for you. And I was able to actually do a full audible book of this book, and was able to do about 17, like everything I promised, I did. So it's sort of like a book album, so it's really fun. So this is one about a gay robot, or an allegedly gay robot. If anybody's wondering, I am an ex-911 ambulance worker, so just in case. Okay. So the description of this is to be played with a ukulele and a musical saw on a loop pedal, done to the tune of Can't Take My Eyes Off of You by Bob Crew and Bob Gaudio. So here we go. I cut my finger, so I didn't play it very well, but whatever. Okay. C-3PO, I always thought that you were gay. I imagine that there was a little glorious hole somewhere in R2-D2, that when you made love, he made those happy robot sounds. Turn that down, in case you missed out on the robot sounds. Maybe R2-D2 would turn his head completely around while you made love, to try and read joy in your manufactured face. I always thought you a top, that R2-D2 whispered love songs that didn't sound pre-programmed or desperate or othering. C-3PO was your golden exterior made up of melted down wedding rings, tossed into vats at flight schools, the sheddings of those ready to die. These galaxy warriors who laughed at what made you feminine, which sounds like hesitation, which sounds like we are afraid to feel. How you must have keened every time your lover went to war, became a plug in another machine, as unprotected as a jet wing. Your gold-plated face never told us that behind the joke was a man in love with a soldier. I felt your tears, my sweet, though your face betrayed nothing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So sometimes I write poems, like first thing in the morning. I like to do before the world fills up my brain. And sometimes sometimes some of these poems are really short, and this is a poem that's just one stanza, one line really. And it goes like this. Don't tell me I'm strong. Ask me how I got there. And then like for the rest of the day, I was worried that somebody might ask me how I got there. So I wrote this other poem, and it's called How Did You Get to Be So Strong? Potential Answers. Okay. Okay, how do you got to be so strong? Okay. Public transportation. I just stopped showering. So strong. I am my own problem. It's a lot. El Caminos are my favorite car. It's almost indefensible. Pro wrestling and Pop-Tarts. Molestation. I knew Snuffleupagus existed and told no one on Sesame Street. White Jesus looks like every guy who's raped me. I eat meat and love animals. White supremacy helped me to afford therapy. Doesn't survival really just mean alive? My ex-husband's death made me a Widex, which sounds like Windex. I find ways to laugh about this. Thank fuck I can laugh about this. Didn't Bambi make a whole career out of grief? I just have good comeback lines sometimes. As a child, I preferred Band-Aids to looking at my own skin. I love the smell of gasoline. My breasts don't belong to me, so in a way, some of it didn't happen. My brain is actually a maze of safety deposit boxes. I've been taught the terrible art of how to walk tall on stolen land. I am surrounded by people who need to be stronger than me because artists save me every day, because my art saves me, because this stage is never the only open palm that is holding me up. Thank you. So I do a lot of work in schools. I was very happy to be able to do that during the Vancouver Writers Festival because it's harder and harder to go into schools these days, especially in Ontario. I know everybody's having a lot of things happen. And so this is called Why Did the Trans Kid Cross the Road? And again, I'm from Ontario, and this is something that happened in Ontario. And this is also a story about the first time that I had an inkling that I was a trans person, but because of the time I grew up in, I didn't have any language for that. And so this is also about keeping up the language that we've got and honoring how far we've come. Why did the trans kid cross the road? In 2019, Ontario's newly elected provincial Conservative government scheduled a debate about the existence of trans people and non-binary people. They gave out a hotline number to report teachers talking about gender identity or respecting pronouns. Our former Liberal government had made it essential for schools to welcome trans and non-binary identities. 1, I am 6 years old. My identity has no words. The crossing guard asks if I'm a boy or a girl. My mouth is a goldfish. I start to cry. He asks again, and because he sounds mean, I say, girl? But I don't know what to do with this feeling that this is a lie, and I almost throw up from the rush. 2, I imagine this incident as a recent one, occurring under our former, more inclusive government. When the crossing guard asks me if I'm a boy or a girl, I tell him I'm transmasculine. I tell him that my name is Charlie, and maybe he's still mean, but now he can't say anything. 3, I imagine I am that kid today. This morning, our new government has instructed schools that trans and non-binary identities aren't real. I approached the crossing guard. Yesterday, I told him my name and my pronouns. Today, he is holding them as a series of blades. He asked me, are you a boy or a girl? And I know it's mean. I start to run. He doesn't stop the cars. Thank you. So this, I want to do one more poem for you. So maybe a little second more about my book. So Why I Was Late is not only like sort of a trans coming of age story, but is also a story of grief, I lost my husband to heart attack. Also it's, maybe it's like about praying mantises and how, if you decapitate your partner during ejaculate, it'll help them to ejaculate, and pass on nutrition to the next generation, and other such things. But it's mainly like an obsession about masculinity. I don't know why I'm so obsessed about masculinity. Probably because I was masculine my entire life and didn't have the language for it. Anyway, so this is about a really hot guy. He's a friend of C3PO's. And we didn't have much like queer stuff growing up, right? So Star Wars is probably the closest I had to like seeing something queer. So then I became completely obsessed. So this is, so I was in a cowboy band. This is a song that we did called A Place to Sleep. It is a tango. The name of my band was The Silver Heart. So if anybody's ever been at one of our shows, you might recognize this song, and I'm very proud to share it with you. And a certain hairy man. Chewbacca! You are my favorite out of all of the Wookiees. Since I saw you in the first movie, which is actually the fourth movie, you have ruined me for all of humanity. Chewie, there's never enough chest hair to satisfy me, never enough back hair to warm the cockles of my star-warring heart. The smell of sweat and hair is never husky, musky enough for me to fully fill my little tusk. But I try. Just back from the gym, bring that hairy ass in. The love cries of my partners have never equaled the parallel universe of what comes out of your small-toothed mouth. Why are you not more saber-toothed? Light saber-toothed platitudes of love from you would be like sweet baths of sound, glorious guttural bubblings of ghastly sets. Would you make me wear a mohair onesie so that you could accept me as your own? Would you have me stop scaping my manscape so that there would be somewhere soft for you to land? Chewbacca, would you only chew my baka? If the hair was long enough to get tangled up in yours, I want to twist and turn and grind you until we become dreadlocked. And I take it out after because I'm white. I want my skin to be patterned in the scraped lines of the lineage you left to be with me. For our kitchen to smell of victory sage and the rub salts of galaxy seas. We could live our lives as naked apes. Only I'd probably wear a sports bro or a binder. Feels really weird not to have one on. Maybe we could both wear sports bros or binders and dance to the space music created for us from the human John Williams. Chewbacca, I didn't think that my love for you could outlast my crush on Han Solo, but when I am with my Hans Solo, it is your Wookiee cry that blushes my neck. Your feet that must smell of freedom I want resting on the backs of my calves. It is you, Wookiee man. Your ammo belt crashed to the floor. Your tendrils caught in my overflossed teeth that pull out my belief that the language we speak need never include the oppressive learning of English. Wookiee, I cry out. In hopes that you might someday cruise your Millennium Falcon my way. Thank you, Vancouver Writers Festival. Thank you so much. Billeh!
Charlie Petch reading from Why I Was Late. So many things. Yay! Well, I can't really think of a better way to end a poetry reading than Chewbacca Tango, really. That's what happens every poetry reading. All right. I have a big round of applause, but please hold your applause to the end. I want to thank our readers this evening, Claudia, Andrew, Tay, Alexandra, and Charlie. Now you can applaud now.
You have been listening to Books and Ideas Audio, a presentation of the Vancouver Writers' Fest. To hear more events like this one and view our upcoming events, visit our website at writersfest.bc.ca.